Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to our YouTube channel and podcast show, which is Create with Franz. We are talking about creation, transformation, happiness. These are things that build up your life and make it very easy. Now, as an artist myself, I know that all artists have a lot of pressure to become content creators, to become marketers, to know all about SEO and engagement, because we need to stay relevant. We are told by all the gurus to post every day, to follow the trends, see what's going on Etsy, see what's going on Instagram, Behance. And we have also to compete with the infinite speed of AI, Midjourney, and all these very fast programs that can create something that will take 10 years to prepare, and they do it in 2 minutes. So is this how artists are going to be in the future? I don't think so. I think that there is a way that we can change this. And today we have an amazing guest from Bogota, and her name is Sylvia Barrero. And she believes that the problem isn't your talent or your content, is your positioning. So let's make sure that Sylvia can first introduce herself, because I noticed she's a cultural architect. So hello, welcome to the show, Sylvia.
Thank you so much, Franz. Thank you for having me here. Well, I am an artist. Actually, I became a full-time artist 12 years ago, but I've also been an entrepreneur all of my life. I started since I was in my teenage years. I first had a design business. I came into the online sales world about, I don't know, 18 years ago, maybe, and started learning about marketing, online marketing. Then I started using social media when Facebook came along. Then my Instagram account came along. And this is the way I've built my career. But also with this very specific theme about how to position artists, I figured there was a part missing, especially for artists from my region, for instance, from Latin America, because we have the language barrier. So I started building my first online platform for art, for emerging art, back in 2015. This was the first version of the platform. We opened a space, a virtual space, so that artists could focus on their practice and they could showcase their art to an international audience through our platform. That first platform was called Artry. It was online for 10 years, and we went to Shark Tank. We raised money. I learned everything about technology, but every time we came into knowing a new tool or a new trend, we knew that we needed to use it so that art could be created and art could be made like the main show of this platform. It wasn't the other way around. And this is why I find it so important for artists to understand this. Even though we do need to showcase our art and to use all of the tools we have available, we always need to remember that the most important piece of the puzzle is our creation process and the cultural impact this has on other people. Because art definitely transforms us as human beings, and that's the purpose basically of art, to shift our emotional world, the view we have about the world. And then with this piece in place, we can use all of these tools that exist out there to promote, to go into a larger audience, to get ourselves to be known out there in the market.
Absolutely. I love that this transformation is part of a process. I'm also a rapid transformational therapist, RTT, and I always remember it's this transformation. Nothing outside is changed. The transformation happens inside. We're going to go through this and see how we can help a person who is embracing the arts, love the arts, but thinks there is no way of getting this art to the public. And so we have here a narrative collapse, right? So I was reading extensively your website, your notes, your biography, and you said, Sylvia, that the craft has lost its position as a cultural infrastructure, something that has been for centuries. The artist was at the center of a community, the musician, the crafter, the textile, the art, the how do you say, the actors, the singer. But now we have gone from culture to production, hundreds and hundreds of bits, pieces made very quickly, made in China, made by an AI. So we can't really churn out at the high speeds that everything wants us to do. We can't do that. So how can an artist today in 2026 stop being a producer of content forever, putting stuff on the net, new bits on that, which is impossible. You're gonna have a burnout. How do we go back from this craft production to mastering the craft and still retain this digital audience that used to scroll and see new things every day? How do we do that? It's a big mystery.
Well, it is. And it is difficult to keep up with everything that is going on, right? Because technology is advancing at such a fast pace. But the truth is that the problem here is getting distracted by everything that is happening out there or what experts tell you about what you should be doing, right? So we fall into this trap of chasing the latest trend, latest platform. We have to be everywhere. But the truth is that art also teaches us how to slow down and to go deep inside of us. So the first part that I would say is that we need to be true to ourselves. I don't believe there is one single path to success for an artist. I think, and I've worked with hundreds of them. I mean, we in our trade we used to have around 800 artists exhibiting their work in the platform. We sold in more than 10 countries these pieces that we were having available in the platform. But again, when we get distracted by all of the things happening out there, we lose the purpose of what we're doing. And I think this is because of the pace that the world is advancing at. But if we go back to our selves, if we go back to what matters to us, we can then figure out what the next step is. We don't have to have all of the vision ready right now. We just need to go back to building our careers or our practice step by step. I actually use this sentence a lot, like one brushstroke at a time. I think this is the way to go in the practice and in the way they build their career or their positioning in the market. So instead of using all of the tools and of creating content every day, we should go back and plan. I do believe in plans. I mean, we have to go back and structure the vision, right? Where do I want to get to? If it's a commercial vision where I want to work with brands, then I have to start building the base for that, for the foundations to reach brands, to work. I've worked with very large brands, not only with my artwork, but from the artists we used to have in the platform. We've partnered with huge brands, global brands, but this is because we had a clear like a vision about the way brands could help us reach to a wider audience. Or on the other hand, if I want to build a traditional career, then I have to know that there are other things that matter here: curators, applying into contests, having a portfolio that shows those exhibitions that I've had. So again, I think this is very attached to what matters to each of these artists. And instead of chasing trends, we should be chasing our own dreams, right? Like our own vision. And we have to write it down and have it very clear because distractions are out there all the time. But we do have to plan for this and then step by step, brushstroke by brushstroke, start building the foundations for our career and start reaching out to the correct people or correct audiences that we want to reach.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense because we want to reach the people who are relevant, and sometimes we're not really in the right place to reach those people. We don't understand who they are. So this also works in card licensing, textiles. You have to know what to do, and networking is a great way of doing that. So being friends with other artists, being friends with shops that sell the stuff you make, understanding what goes, what doesn't. And also, sometimes we think we cannot really talk to these people. Who knows where they are, but sometimes it works a lot better. And I always remember a story. I think it was Dolores Naskren who does a lot of teaching of greeting cards, and she's been teaching design for years. And she said that one day she went to a craft fair and there was part of a car racing big event, and she had, like all the crafters, a little table with the greeting cards that she was selling with her daughter. And literally there was nobody at the table, everybody was there. And they're like, oh, today is going to be a terrible day, art is so difficult. And then an elderly couple came to their little booth and started looking at all the cards, and they're like laughing and crying and interested in these cards. And she was like, well, we've been here for a long while, let's have a chat with them and see what they like about art. And it turned out they had 3 Hallmark stores, free. And they commissioned, they bought up the whole thing, they got them in touch directly with Hallmark and with the
Wow.
buyers from Hallmark. And since then, the career went, ooh, and all started with one thing, being in the right place at the right time and talking to the person, and the person resonated, their card resonated, their message, their technique resonated. So they didn't do all this internet, it didn't exist, And it's really a lot of combination of good things. And we, as artists, can be very depressed and thinking, oh, we can't do that. And one of the big things, moving to the second part, that can make artists depressed is seeing that now with Canva, Affinity being free, and the internet has basically trained people that they can have art for free or very, very cheap. And so at this point, the pricing, how am I going to make a living out of this? Not even half of a living. And so if we want to move our work from disposable work, free work, into transformational, emotional, something that makes me feel something, what do we have to do first?
So, as you were mentioning, we have to know who we are offering this art for, right? So, something we have to lose is the fear of people saying no to us. And this is something that we as entrepreneurs know. Like, the more you go up there and talk about your art, the more rejections you will get. But this is also building your trust and your strength, and the path towards what you are going to actually achieve. Because if we don't lose this fear of rejection, then we won't put ourselves out there ever. So this first part is very important, like for us to show and to insist. We cannot get frustrated from the first 2 or 3 clients that say no, I don't want your piece. And this is also happens in social media, because there's such a wide audience out there that people are gonna throw their hate sometimes, or they're gonna basically go through your work and don't like it. But again, if you build a strong foundation within you with a clear vision, then you will be invincible. This is what I say to my artists. Like, you have to trust yourself and trust timing and the path. So again, about matching with the right audience, that's really important. And then about the disposable part, we have to fall in love with what we do, not too much, because again, we have to let go of some ideas that basically don't work for the market, and then you have to sometimes shift course. But you do have to trust what you are doing and know that this is not a one night thing that will happen. It takes time, it takes trust, it takes patience. uh, and when we find the right audience and the people who connect with our work, then we're gonna start seeing it clearer, like the path. So for every, this is a like a marketing concept where you have a funnel, right? If you have 100 people seeing your artwork, and just one likes it or makes a good comment about it or buys your piece, then you are doing the right thing, because all of those 99 rejections make part of the system, of the marketing system. So again, we discard things too quickly, and as artists we try to, I mean, we have so many ideas that we want to try them all. But the thing is, picking a path, picking a structure or a system, and then staying there and insisting and repeating the system until this starts working. So, for instance, in my career, I started selling through social media. First, within my closest circle, friends and family. Then they started referring me to new people, new buyers. And then I went out in my Instagram account and started reaching for other people, other cities. I learned how to do this paid ads part, and opportunities started coming, but it wasn't in an instant. I mean, it took me a couple of years. Actually, I got an offer to exhibit in London, then I went there, then to Miami, then all of these from the platform side, all of the opportunities that came along for art trade, being in Shark Tank. We also were showcased in Discovery Home and Health in a commercial for them. This all came from us insisting and staying persistent in our vision. So I think this is the way you start building a foundation, and also the craft per se. You do have to like go deeper and deeper each time, and art basically starts showing you the way. Also, this happened with a lot of my clients. At first I started with a very like delicate style of painting, but now I shifted to art that I paint with my hands. And this was, again, 10 years work. Okay. So you tell me when I go ahead. Okay. So it took me 10 years to again know what was going to be liked in the international market. It started matching my customers' interests, but it was a process. And now I'm painting with my fingers, and this is what is selling the most. So I decided to keep that style for a year, for instance. And this is a very difficult thing for an artist to do, because we are shifting from style to style, to from one idea to another, but we do have to stay consistent in one line, try it out, receive as many no's and rejections as we can, so we can build our strength and keep going on. Basically, that this is what I could say. And again, mentioning the craft and the sensible part to the creation process, it's the same. We have to try some things out. Then, if something is working, we have to go deeper in it. We have to start looking into new themes, new ways to make this richer, instead of getting distracted with the kind of art that someone else does, or with the new tools that we can use. Every tool is just used to like strengthen our practice, not the other way around. Tools cannot replace our creation process.
Yes, very good. Tools can should be on t-shirts.
Yes.
Tools can't replace, art is a gift to humanity. You are art. All this about producing, producing, producing. There is no way that an artist can go there without any research or knowing who he wants to sell to, what his art is about, what is he passionate. We cannot just produce thousands of pieces, because for every piece of art it takes hours and days. And so there is a process there, there's a therapeutical process going on, it's a cleansing process, it's getting the emotions out. It's a lot more. It's like writing a book. Yeah, I know that Gemini can write a book in 10 minutes, but Gemini is not going to have any process there for healing and overcoming his trauma or telling me the story of his grandma. It's a bunch of chips. So I want to talk about this process. I want to write this book. I want to make this theater production. There has to be a story. So I had to live through that and plan. As Sylvia said, it's important to see, why do I want this? What do I want to get out of this? And maybe we have another job. Not everyone will be an artist, full-time, paid from day one. That's fine. And like nobody else, majority of people are not actors in Hollywood on day one. The majority of people are not that. They study acting and they do acting because they love doing it. So I am sure that among our listeners, there are loads of those who are into education, into videography. They are boutique CEOs. They want to use technology so they can document how we go from the first stitch, the first brush stroke, to a whole big story that can get people emotionally involved. So this kind of documenting how this happens, that's what is increasing the economic value of the final piece that we make. So how can these people who want to make a story of this, make a documentary of this, how can we use technology to bring art to the heart of the people and not just as content?
So there are a lot of like trends out there, right? You have to record this reel where you have to show yourself, where you have, but again, this goes back, or what I'm going to mention goes back to our values, what we stand for. So if I'm a shy person, I'm probably not going to be able to record a confident video talking about the piece, but I can record my hands painting or the tools. And also, I've tested a lot of formats, for instance, recently, because I used to record a lot of my processes, the whole painting sometimes, and it would be hours and hours of content, and then I would get stuck with the editing part. So, for instance, I now use this technique where I record the first part, the tools, the first brush strokes. Then at the middle of the piece, I record again the final piece. And then maybe I can record myself talking about the whole process over a reel. Tools now are very easy to use. Even the platforms have their own tools to edit these videos. And sometimes even a 15 or 20-second video can help people get the sense of the story behind it. But it is important to talk about it, definitely. Just seeing an image of the final piece won't give people or the audience the sense of what of all of the thought process and the emotional process behind each piece. So again, there are a lot of formats. Something I do a lot is following other creators that have videos or content that has clicked with me. So I go there. Like I don't want to be creating my own like techniques or kind of structures. If there is something working out there, I can start not copying but taking references from those creators that are doing a good job, and then I start mimicking some of those formats with my own processes. But it is definitely very, very important to show people the story behind what we do, because this emotional connection is what actually gets the right people in front of my work. Because if I want to, and going back to the audience, there's so many people in this world, so not everyone has to like our work. But if you manage to tell the story behind it, and someone else is transformed by it or touched by it, then you're doing a good job. And there's a guy I follow, Gary V. I don't know if you know him. He's an expert in this marketing side, and he has this beautiful post where he starts comparing this social media reach with actual people. So he says, like, if you got 20 likes, and then he shows a picture of 20 people standing in front of your work. So he says, like, don't ever underestimate the power of those few likes or those few views, because if there are people on the other side of the screen looking at your work, then you already did the job you were meant to do. You were connecting with people through your creations. So this is another thing that we do have to have in mind. It's not about the numbers, the big numbers or the viral content. It's about connection. And this is the best part that, or the part that artists should be focusing on creators, on connecting with their audiences.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Content of being there for those people who will engage with you. Because yeah, I can put a picture and you might get 20 likes, 100 likes, and then people scroll to the next person. But what if I told the story about the picture? I just lost a baby. I was very sad. I thought I would draw something, or my pet died, or I lost my job. I was in the middle of a divorce. I was diagnosed with cancer. All these stories that happen to all of us. We have loss, we have tragedy. Isn't it weird that a lot of people don't draw or paint or make music because they're happy? They do it because they're sad. They need to move. That's one of the many emotions. And also, we do use music, art, and whatever when we want to express happiness. But a lot of times we have an array of emotion and we have a transformative process. So when we engage in people, oh, you also have MS, you also have cancer. And that's what I do. I use coloring books for depression. I use it because I'm OCD and it helps me to relax. Whatever, it's that connection. So I think when you have 20 engaged readers or people viewing your art, it's a lot better than 1 million not engaged ones that are scrolling for the sake of filling the day. But these engaged ones, these are the ones that are going to follow you. These are the ones that when you come out with your production, so your music, your art, your theater, whatever, they will buy it, or they will say to other people, have you seen the artwork of that person? Because they connected. So they remember, they have like something imprinted in their brain that they really felt something when they saw the art. So it's important to remember personal connections. Sylvia, got it. All right, you guys. I know you also have free tips for all of us, but before that, is there anything else we have not covered that I think is important to say, or you think is important to say?
Yes, actually, I was thinking that we are focusing only on online tools, right? On social media and but I, for instance, have exhibited in the weirdest places of them all. Like I started doing exhibitions in malls, like shopping centers here in Colombia. Then at parks, we put together a group of illustrators who were basically seated in a park. They were drawing, and people starting reaching to us to bring this group of artists to other places in the city. So not only social media is the way to create these connections, these relevant connections. You mentioned networking before, and I do believe that we have to find the right audience, and maybe going out and talking to real people in the real world and not through a screen. That's also a very good exercise to know, to get to understand the mindset of the people that are looking to your creations. And those stories actually are sometimes easier to be told in person. So looking for those places where networking can be done and promotion can be done, that's also a really good way to start building an audience. This is okay, I'll start with the tips now, but this is the first one, and I really think this has made a huge difference, not only for my career, but also for the platform. Start uh, using some kind of, I mean, it could be an Excel sheet, but start putting together a list of those people that have bought from you or that are interested in your work. You can keep their email address. Building this database is really important because then you can start building a relationship through email or through here in Colombia we use WhatsApp a lot, or any texting and messaging service. But again, building the audience, it's not just about followers, it's not just about reach with your posts, it's also about that connection with humans behind the screen. So putting a database together is another one I just added, but I did want to talk about that vision again. If we know where we're going, we're going to be able to put the pieces together to start building the right path for us. So, this is the first part, planning, having a clear vision, and having patience. I mean, this is not maybe a like a traditional career or a common career, but it's the same for anyone. We have to build our careers and our practices step by step. So we also have to be patient with the process and with ourselves. So this is the first part. The second is about that vulnerability and the fact that you have to put yourself out there. If you want to be known, if you want to acquire customers, you have to lose the fear of rejection. So you have to go out there, meet people in real life, put your pieces in social media. If you have to post an art piece 20 times before you get the attention, you have to lose the fear of doing that. So that would be a second very important part. And then I want to bring that which we mentioned. Tools are there to strengthen your practice and not the other way around. We cannot lose ourselves in trends or in what experts are saying out there. We have to be very, very consistent and very loyal to what we believe in. And if we know that we want to paint for the rest of our lives, then we have to believe in it. We are our first promoters, right? So our first advocates. So we do have to be very, very consistent. Very, we have to build that strong foundations within ourselves to go out there and basically give this service to the world, because I do believe that creation or our creations are meant to also transform other people's lives. Even if there's a lot of noise and a lot of content out there, or if there are these tools coming up with new art forms, we have to be very sure about what we're giving to the world. And we are going to start seeing results once we pick a path and start building our like foundation. We're gonna start seeing results, and we have to be patient also with the process. So that would be what I have to say about tips and recommendations for artists and creators.
Amazing. And also, I would add another thing that came to my mind. If you are a visual artist, so you make things like jewelry, something that can be seen, how about wearing it and using it, putting it in your car and giving gifts to people so they can receive your Christmas card that you have designed or knitted or crocheted? They can see that, and as it circulates, it becomes familiar, and it becomes familiar, it becomes interesting, and then people want it. But if you keep it all for yourself in fear that it's going to be judged, I mean, have you seen the last painting that got sold in an auction in March for some $70 million? And I don't even know the name of the artist. And it's like a rectangular shape, all red. And then on the bottom, there is a slightly black area, and that's it. And we are worried about our art not being good enough. I mean, there's a lot of art around that I'm like, okay, my daughter could do that. A four, you know. So art is so subjective. So what you think is not really good enough could be amazing for a person that has just the right liking. So this fear is there, you know, self-sabotage. I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna find it really difficult. If a person has this art of any type that wants to sprout out of their body and their soul, and it's not coming out, I think that's the time to see a therapist, a coach, a networking person, a PR person, a relative, and have a chat and see what's really behind this fear of failure. Because sometimes this fear of failure starts when we go to school and our teacher look at our drawing and say, oh, this is good, but Mary's done better. Oh, no, you're never going to be an artist. And so just to prove them wrong, you know, you have to do something. But some people have this belief they can't do it because somebody 30 years ago told them they can't. But that's just that person that said it. That doesn't mean you can't. You were not there yet. So it's a process, isn't it, Sylvia? It's always a process of growing
Absolutely.
and
And
loving yourself. Sorry.
what you mentioned also comes from that comparison, because we're
Mm.
comparing ourselves to other creators out there, to the
Mm.
artist that got a million views in its reel, and why am I getting fewer or no one is seeing my videos? So again, this goes back to being truthful to your own path. I
Mm.
believe there are many ways to become the artist that you dream of, but you have to find your own path, because school is going to tell you something. The art market is going to tell you that you have to earn prizes and exhibit in galleries and go into museums in order to be relevant in the world. But I think we are all are. The fact that we are brave enough to put out ourselves out there and start creating with our hands and then showing this to the world, that even that is being a successful creator. So being consistent and being truthful to yourself, it is definitely a way in which you can beat all of the imposter syndrome or all of that fear that will come up. But you definitely are here for a reason, and your art should be known by others. So this is all I have to say. um,
That's okay, because we're going to be cut off in 20 seconds. So
okay,
thank you so much for being here, Sylvia. It's been amazing.
Franz, thank you.
It's been
Thank
great.
you for the opportunity and for this amazing conversation. I hope we can get it out there to as many artists and creators as we can. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Click, like, and share. See you all next week. It's amazing. You artist, you can rock. Bye.
Bye.